Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Today I want to talk about something that touches every single one of us at some point in our lives. That feeling of being lost, unsure of where to go, what to do, or even who we are. It's like being trapped in a maze without a map. And trust me, I've been there. But here's the truth. Feeling lost is not the end of the road, it's a turning point. Your life changes the moment you decide to change. That's a truth so simple yet so profound. Everything you've ever wanted, everything you've ever dreamed of achieving begins with a decision. And the beauty of it is that no one else can make that decision for you. It doesn't matter what your past looks like, how many times you've stumbled, or how far you think you've fallen. The power to transform your life rests in your hands, and it begins with a choice. So, let me break it down. Most people spend their lives waiting for the right time. They wait for the stars to align, for conditions to be perfect, for all the doubts to fade away. But let me tell you something. There's no such thing as the perfect time. If you're waiting for all the lights to turn green before you head down the road of your dreams, you'll never get moving. The key is to make the decision to start, even when the road ahead feels uncertain. When you decide to change, you're not just making a fleeting choice. You're shifting the entire trajectory of your life. A true decision carries commitment. It's not a maybe or a I'll try. It's a firm, unshakable resolve. It's saying to yourself, this is it. I'm doing this no matter what. It's burning the ships behind you so there's no turning back. It's not about having all the answers or knowing every step of the journey. It's about committing to the journey no matter what challenges may come. One of the reasons people hesitate to make a decision is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. But here's the thing. Fear will always be there. It's not going anywhere. You can't wait for fear to disappear before you act. You have to decide in spite of it. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to move forward even when you're terrified. And once you take that first step, you'll realize that fear is just an illusion. It loses its power the moment you confront it. Think about this. Every great achievement in history began with a decision. Someone somewhere decided that they weren't going to settle for less. They decided to rise above their circumstances, to take a chance, to go after something bigger. Whether it was launching a business, writing a book, or transforming their health, it all started with a moment of decision. The same power that fueled those achievements is available to you. It's not reserved for the special or the privileged. It's universal. When you decide to change, you unlock a part of yourself that you didn't even know existed. You tap into strength, resilience, and creativity that have been lying dormant. You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You attract people, resources, and situations that align with your new path. It's almost as if the universe steps in to support you, but it only happens after you make the decision. And it's important to understand that deciding to change doesn't mean the journey will be easy. There will be struggles, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But the decision itself is what gives you the strength to keep going. It's what keeps you anchored when the storms of life try to shake you. It's what reminds you of your why when the road gets tough. You don't need anyone's permission to decide. You don't need to wait for someone to validate your dreams or tell you it's okay to pursue them. The moment you decide to take control of your life is the moment you reclaim your power. And once you do, there's no limit to what you can achieve. The power of decision is a gift. It's yours to use right now, in this very moment. Don't let fear doubt, or hesitation hold you back? Make the decision today to step into the life you deserve and watch as everything begins to change. What you focus on expands. This is one of the most powerful truths about life, yet so many of us overlook it. Your mind is like a magnifying glass, and whatever you choose to focus on becomes bigger, clearer, and more dominant in your life. The problem is that too often we focus on the wrong things. We obsess over what we don't have, what we've lost, or what's going wrong. We allow negativity, fear, and frustration to consume our thoughts. And when that happens, we inadvertently invite more of those things into our lives. Think about it. How often do you wake up in the morning and immediately start thinking about what's missing? Maybe it's money, a relationship, a career breakthrough, or even a sense of purpose. The more you focus on lack, the more you see it. Your mind starts scanning for every little detail that confirms your belief that you don't have enough. And as that focus grows, so does your frustration. You feel stuck, overwhelmed, and defeated. But here's the thing, the mind doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. It simply acts on the images and thoughts you feed it. When you focus on lack, your mind interprets that as your reality, and it works to align your life with that perspective. However, the opposite is also true. When you shift your focus to abundance, gratitude, and possibility, your mind begins to align your life with those things instead. It's not magic, it's the power of perception and belief. Gratitude is the key that unlocks the door to abundance. When you take the time to focus on what you have rather than what you don't, you shift your energy entirely. It's like flipping a switch in your brain. Suddenly, you start to notice all the things that are going right in your life. It could be something as simple as a roof over your head, food on your table, or the love of a family member. The more you focus on those things, the more your perspective changes. You stop feeling like a victim of your circumstances and start recognizing the blessings you already have. When you live in a state of gratitude, it's not just your mindset that changes, your actions change too. You start to carry yourself differently. You approach challenges with confidence and optimism instead of dread. You begin to attract people and opportunities that align with your positive energy. It's not that life suddenly becomes perfect, it's that your ability to handle it improves because you're no longer weighed down by a scarcity mindset. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore the challenges or struggles in your life. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to focus on what's good even in the midst of difficulty. There will always be problems to solve, but focusing solely on those problems only amplifies their weight. Instead, look for solutions, look for lessons, look for the small wins that remind you progress is being made, even if it feels slow. Focusing on gratitude and abundance is a practice, and like any practice, it takes time to develop. You won't wake up one day and suddenly never think about what you lack again. But with intentional effort, you can retrain your mind. Start small. Each morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. At the end of the day, reflect on one positive thing that happened, no matter how small. These simple practices train your mind to focus on the good, even when life feels chaotic. Your focus is your superpower. Whatever you choose to give your attention to will shape your reality. If you're tired of feeling lost or stuck, the solution isn't out there somewhere, it's within you. Redirect your focus from what's missing to what's present, from lack to abundance, and from frustration to gratitude. When you do, you'll discover that life has far more to offer than you ever realized. Your mind is like a garden, and what you plant in it will determine the kind of life you grow. Every thought you entertain, every belief you hold, and every idea you nurture is a seed. The problem is, many of us allow weeds to take over our minds. We let doubt, fear, negativity, and self-criticism run rampant, and then we wonder why we feel stuck, overwhelmed, or unfulfilled. But here's the good news. You have the power to choose what you plant and what you pull out. You have the power to cultivate a garden in your mind that flourishes with positivity, confidence, and growth. Feeding your mind the right thoughts is not just a nice idea, it's a necessity. Everything starts in your mind. Every achievement, every goal, every dream begins with a single thought. If your mind is full of negativity, it's like trying to grow flowers in toxic soil. No matter how much effort you put in, nothing will bloom. But when you feed your mind the right thoughts, you create an environment where growth becomes inevitable. The challenge is that negativity is everywhere. From the moment you wake up, you're bombarded with it through the news, social media, conversations, and even your own inner dialogue. If you're not intentional about what you allow into your mind, it's easy for negativity to take root. That's why you have to guard your mind like a fortress. You have to be selective about what you let in and proactive about planting seeds of positivity. One of the best ways to feed your mind the right thoughts is by surrounding yourself with the right influences. Look at the people you spend the most time with. Are they lifting you up or dragging you down? Are they encouraging you to dream bigger, think differently, and take action? Or are they feeding your fears and doubts? The people you allow into your life have a direct impact on your mindset. If you want to grow, you need to surround yourself with people who inspire growth. The same goes for the information you consume. Every book you read, every podcast you listen to, every video you watch is planting seeds in your mind. Are those seeds helping you become the person you want to be? If not, it's time to make a change. Choose content that aligns with your goals, your values, and your vision for the future. Seek out stories of success, messages of hope, and lessons from people who've walked the path you want to walk. But it's not just about what you consume from the outside, it's also about the conversations you have with yourself. Your self-talk is one of the most powerful influences on your mindset. Pay attention to the way you speak to yourself. Are you kind and encouraging, or are you critical and harsh? Do you tell yourself you're capable, or do you focus on your limitations? If your self-talk is negative, it's time to rewrite the script. Start affirming your strengths, your potential, and your work. Feeding your mind the right thoughts is not a one-time effort. It's a daily practice. It requires consistency, patience, and persistence. There will be days when negative thoughts creep in, and that's okay. The goal isn't to eliminate them entirely, it's to minimize their impact and replace them with positive ones. When a negative thought arises, don't dwell on it. Acknowledge it, challenge it, and then choose a more empowering thought to focus on. It's also important to celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Every time you replace a negative thought with a positive one, you're strengthening your mental garden. Every time you choose to focus on solutions instead of problems, you're feeding your mind the right nutrients. Over time, these small shifts add up, creating a mindset that's resilient, optimistic, and geared for growth. Your mind is your most valuable asset. It has the power to create the life you want, but only if you take care of it. Be intentional about what you plant. Be diligent about removing the weeds, and be patient as your garden grows. The effort you put into feeding your mind the right thoughts will pay off in ways you can't even imagine. And as your mind flourishes, so will your life. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's an essential part of the journey. Yet so many people live in fear of failure, paralyzed by the thought of making mistakes or falling short. They view failure as an end, a sign that they're not good enough, or proof that their dreams are out of reach. But that mindset couldn't be further from the truth. Failure isn't a dead end, it's a stepping stone. It's a lesson, a teacher, and a necessary ingredient for growth. Think about it. Every successful person you admire has failed, often more times than you can imagine. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Did they give up? No. They understood that failure wasn't a reflection of their worth, but a part of their process. They used failure to learn, adapt, and push forward. The problem is that society has conditioned us to fear failure. From a young age, we're taught that mistakes are bad and that success should come easily if we're good enough. But this is a harmful illusion. Real success, the kind that's lasting and meaningful, rarely happens without failure. Failure forces you to confront your weaknesses, sharpen your skills, and build resilience. It shapes you into a stronger, wiser, and more capable version of yourself. The key is how you respond to failure. Some people let it defeat them. They take failure personally, as if it defines who they are. They give up, believing the struggle isn't worth it. But others, the ones who succeed, see failure as feedback. They ask themselves, what can I learn from this? How can I improve? What's the next step? They understand that failure is only permanent if you stop trying. When you embrace failure as part of growth, you free yourself from the fear of making mistakes. You stop worrying about what others think or whether you'll look foolish. You realize that failure isn't something to be ashamed of, it's something to be proud of. It means you're taking risks, stepping outside your comfort zone, and striving for something bigger. And that's where true growth happens, on the edge of discomfort, where failure is not just possible, but inevitable. One of the greatest lessons failure teaches is humility. It reminds you that you don't have all the answers and that there's always more to learn. It forces you to look at yourself honestly, to admit your flaws, and to seek out ways to improve. This humility is a gift because it opens the door to growth. It keeps you hungry, curious, and willing to adapt. Failure also builds resilience. Every time you fail and get back up, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. You're training your mind to persevere in the face of adversity. Over time, this resilience becomes a superpower. It allows you to tackle bigger challenges, take bolder risks, and recover more quickly from setbacks. You begin to see failure not as a threat, but as an opportunity, a chance to test your limits and grow beyond them. It's important to understand that failure isn't about you as a person, it's about the process. Too often we tie our self-worth to our outcomes. If we fail at something, we think it means we're not good enough. But failure is not a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of your effort. And effort can always be improved. When you separate your identity from your results, you gain the freedom to fail without fear. You realize that failure doesn't define you, it refines you. You have to be willing to fail if you want to succeed. Success is not a straight path, it's a winding road filled with detours, obstacles, and yes, failures. But every failure brings you closer to your destination. Every mistake teaches you something valuable. Every setback prepares you for a comeback. The only way to truly fail is to stop trying. So the next time you face failure, don't run from it. Don't let it discourage you or make you feel small. Embrace it, learn from it, use it as fuel to keep moving forward. Because failure is not the end of the story, it's the beginning of a new chapter. One where you grow stronger, wiser, and closer to the success you're destined to achieve. Action is the antidote to fear and confusion. When you're feeling lost, stuck, or overwhelmed, the worst thing you can do is stand still. Yet that's exactly what most people do. They overthink, analyze, and wait for the perfect plan or moment to act. But the truth is, clarity and momentum don't come from waiting, they come from doing. Even the smallest step forward can change everything. And action breaks the cycle of fear, clears the fog of indecision, and opens up possibilities you couldn't see before. Fear thrives in inactivity. When you sit still, your mind has room to wander, to imagine worst-case scenarios, and to amplify every doubt you have. You start to feel paralyzed, as though the weight of your situation is too much to bear. But the moment you take action, something shifts. Your mind stops spinning because it's focused on movement. You're no longer a spectator in your own life. You're an active participant, and that changes everything. The key to overcoming fear isn't eliminating it. Fear is natural and it's not going anywhere. The key is to act in spite of it. Courage doesn't mean you're fearless. It means you're willing to move forward even when fear is whispering in your ear. And here's the surprising part. The more you act, the quieter fear becomes. With each step, you prove to yourself that fear doesn't control you. You gain confidence, strength, and the realization that you're far more capable than you thought. Action doesn't have to be big or dramatic to make an impact. In fact, the smallest steps are often the most powerful because they're manageable and repeatable. If you're overwhelmed by the big picture, break it down. Focus on the next small thing you can do. Write down a goal, make a phone call, research a topic, organize your thoughts. These may seem like insignificant actions, but they create momentum. And momentum is a force that can carry you further than you ever imagined. When you take action, you also gain clarity. So many people wait for clarity before they act, thinking they need to have everything figured out before they begin. But the truth is, clarity often comes after you start moving. Think of it like driving at night. Your headlights don't illuminate the entire journey, but they show you the next few feet. As you move forward, more of the road is revealed. Action works the same way. The more you do, the more you learn, and the clearer your path becomes. Another incredible thing about action is its ability to build confidence. Confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you earn through experience. Every time you take action, even if it's small, you're proving to yourself that you're capable. Over time, those small wins add up. They create a sense of accomplishment, a belief in your ability to handle challenges, and a readiness to take on even bigger tasks. Confidence doesn't come from knowing you'll succeed. It comes from knowing you'll try no matter what. Action also opens doors that you didn't even know existed. When you take a step, you create opportunities. You meet new people, discover new ideas, and uncover resources that weren't visible before. But none of that happens if you stay still. Movement creates connection, and connection creates possibilities. It's a ripple effect, where one small action can lead to a series of events that completely transform your life. It's important to understand that not every action will lead directly to success, and that's okay. Some actions will result in mistakes or setbacks, but even those are valuable. They teach you what doesn't work, refine your approach, and make you more resilient. The fear of failure often stops people from acting, but the truth is, inaction is the real failure. Doing nothing guarantees that nothing will change. The beauty of action is that it's entirely within your control. You don't need permission, resources, or a perfect plan to start. All you need is the willingness to take the first step. And once you do, you'll find that the next step becomes easier, and the step after that, easier still. It's a process of building momentum, one small action at a time, until you're no longer stuck, but moving steadily toward your goals. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It transforms fear into courage, confusion into clarity, and stagnation into progress. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to act. So take that first step, no matter how small it seems, and trust that it will lead you somewhere extraordinary. The power of visualization cannot be overstated. Your mind is incredibly powerful, and it has the ability to shape your reality through the images and ideas you hold in your head. Yet most people underestimate this power. They let their minds wander aimlessly, focusing on fears, doubts, and worst-case scenarios. But what if you could take control of this mental energy and direct it toward creating the life you want? Visualization is the tool that allows you to do exactly that. It's not just wishful thinking, it's a process of mentally rehearsing your success, aligning your mind with your goals, and turning your dreams into tangible outcomes. Visualization works because the brain doesn't differentiate between real and imagined experiences. When you vividly imagine something, your brain activates the same neural pathways as if you were actually experiencing it. This means that when you visualize success, your mind starts to create a blueprint for making it happen. You begin to think, feel, and act in ways that align with your vision. This mental rehearsal builds confidence, reduces fear, and prepares you to take on challenges with a winning mindset. The process of visualization is simple but profoundly effective. It starts with clarity. You must know exactly what you want to achieve. Whether it's a career goal, a personal milestone, or a life transformation, your vision needs to be vivid and specific. You can't afford to be vague. For example, instead of saying, "I want to be successful," define what success looks like for you. Is it earning a certain income, launching a business, having a fulfilling relationship? The more detailed your vision, the more powerful your visualization becomes. Once you have clarity, close your eyes and begin to imagine your desired outcome as if it's already happening. See yourself in that moment. What does it feel like? What are you wearing? Who's around you? What sounds, smells, or sensations can you notice? Engage all your senses to make the image as real as possible. This level of detail is crucial because it strengthens the emotional connection to your goal. The stronger the emotional connection, the more motivated and focused you become. Consistency is another key to effective visualization. It's not something you do once and forget. It's a daily practice. Spend just a few minutes every morning or before bed visualizing your goals. This repetition reinforces the mental blueprint and keeps your mind focused on what you're working toward. Over time, this consistent focus rewires your brain. You'll notice that you start to see opportunities, solutions, and paths that were invisible before. Your mind becomes a magnet for the things you desire.